Hi, it's me again with Corel Draw Tips and Tricks. And somebody sent me this file. They said the white had some spots in it. You don't ever, I shouldn't say that. And I didn't have your font, so it changed your font. So we're just going to delete that. I would not think you'd ever want to engrave a white or a gray on a tumbler, especially in a rotary device that you can only engrave one time, basically. A lot of people can run them twice. I've never had any good luck with it. And we're going to take this yellow box and make it bigger. And then we're going to lock our yellow box so it won't get in the way. But you don't want to, now you can do this on wood, but you just don't want to use white. And like it's got a white background. So what we're going to do, we're going to start moving pieces out of the way we don't need. And we're going to take that and move it out of the way, and see that's maybe a black ring, but it's behind the white, so I just moved it. Now I should have made my yellow box bigger. Tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and unlock it. And I'm just going to make it bigger because I'm going to go the other way. Now I can lock it again. Locking is a pretty handy tool because that way, if you're trying to grab something, you can't grab the yellow box to get in the way. Now we're going to move the things we possibly do need. So let's zoom in here. And this is probably going to be our biggest problem, is that we want to make one of these black, and that's just not going to work through that white line or through that white text. So let's take the dark and move it over. And that's all it is a dark fill. We don't really need it. The sword is black. Tell you what, we're going to start in the center and move this part of this guy out of the way. And he's not grouped together, so we just have to grab it individually and move it out of the way. I don't know what that yellow other little part of it, I don't know if that's part of it, but we'll look at it over here. See, I think it was an extra line. I'm going to move it down. Do not need it. If you ever lose anything like that, hit F4 and then go over and get it. We do not delete. We do not need that. So I'm going to group that together. I've got a yellow line around here, or a white line. Then I'm going to try to move this word. And whoever did this, did a good job, but it's just, the word's not a word anymore. So I'm just going to nudge all this word over. Because you can't have a white or a black engraved line and then have it in front of something else. But we can use that later, and we've got it. Sorry, I zoomed out too far. And that's what's so nice. Now I can group this together. And I couldn't do that if I had the yellow box. Now let's take that white, move it out of the way, so it's working perfectly. We don't need that. We don't want that. We're either going to make it black or do something else with it. Now, tell you what, let's nudge these even further away, and let's take our squares here, and see, all it is a gray color on top of a white color. Well, we don't want the white color. And gray just, if you're engraving something on a cup or a mug, so I just left click, right click, and made that outline. I'm going to grab that white, move it out of the way. I'm going to grab that white, well, that's evidently a line. I'm going to put no fill and move it back. And then we need to take this one and move it out of the way, put no fill and move it back. Don't really even need it because it was just another line that was there. We need to put these back, but we're going to smart fill them, but we need to really look at some other things first. Let's get rid of that white. So see, that won't really work with the sword going across there. that might cause a little problem. Tell you what I'm going to do for sure is get rid of that white line right there. Yep, didn't need it. And you could go through here and basically what we need, and they did it again, they got all the letters. Let's see if we can't grab a lot of them at one time, holding down the shift and getting all the letters. Because basically we're going to reverse engrave this, and I'm hoping I'm getting all the letters and not the other part. Now let's move it out of the way, and sure enough, we did it. Let's move it down. We won't be able to see it, but we can group it together. And then I'm gonna right-click and outline on it. And I might have to break this into a couple of videos. We're gonna put this back. We need to get rid of these lines. But we just take the virtual segment delete key and get rid of these interior lines. And you know what? We can do even better than that, because we're going to smart fill this. So let's do this. Let's go backwards. Let's make sure this is grouped together, and it's not. So it's Control G and group it together and move it over. Because then we're going to take the smart fill tool and fill this in with black. I was just doing a video and I used blue. And fill these in with black. And every other one, see where the smart fill got stopped by the sword, and then just kind of look at it, and I think we're good. Now here's the key to this. We can grab that line and move it over, and the lines are gone. We don't need them anymore. We can actually delete them, but we'll put them up top. I wish I would have kept a couple. Oh, here's the man. We need to nudge him, or at least nudge the helmet back to see if we don't have any white, and we don't. We can put him back. Now, here's the problem with this word. If we nudge it back, you're not going to be able to read it because there's a black line there. So we could do two things, and I don't know what they would want to do. I'm going to left-click, right-click, and there's just not enough to fill. So that's pretty much going to have to be that. And what that's going to do is that's going to kind of mess me up. But what we can do for just a second, we can nudge that out of the way, nudge that one out of the way, and these parts out of the way. And because our word is all one graphic, let's try nudging it up. Wow. Pretty hard when you got that far a nudge. But we have to nudge. You can't move it at this point. So we're way over here. Let's try doing this. Let's try, and I don't know if this would be the best scenario, but let's take that, hold down the shift key and make a rectangle by double clicking it. And I draw everything in hairlines. And that's why, because that looks so big. And then we can make this, hold down the shift key and make it larger from the inside out. That looks pretty good. We could round the corners a little bit, lock a ratio, 0.2. Yeah, there we go. Now what we need to do, and this will work, I think, is to nudge that back over. Now remember that we did not delete our lines, and here's why. We're going to use them again. We're going to fill this in, and what's going to happen is the box is going to keep us from filling in the word. Now we can grab our lines again. So a lot of times don't delete anything, and then we can maybe take away the outline of that box, that red outline. So anything in yellow is not going to engrave. I think that you could even make it a little bit bigger. I think that's pretty cool. We need to figure out what we need to do with, remember the school part? Well, let's go ahead and do the whole thing. Let's get the other part of the school part. Now it's a really thin font, so reverse engraving could be a little bit of a problem. And for the one I'm doing this for, if you will test it, Control G, on a piece of wood, you know, a scrap piece of wood to see what it looks like first. You know, with something like this, I might have to make 2 videos on how to do the handle. But here's what we're going to do here. We're going to move this up and back, and we're going to smart fill in black this. Now I've got some white there somehow. Let me back up here. Let me grab them all and right click, no fill. Now there's no white on the letters. And we're going to smart fill there and then the part. So what's going to happen, it's going to engrave all that, but it's going to leave the letters. Say if it's a blue cup or a purple cup, the letters will be blue. You know, it won't engrave. The black will be engraved off. And you could have done it the opposite way. You could have had, and since you're never going to cut a cup, you don't have to worry about the outline, even though we can take it away. So let me think about what we're going to do here, and I'll make another video. Hope that helped. Thank you for watching.